Hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm Emily Muchanti. I'm a reading specialist, an interventionist, and a bit of a reading diva. And I'm on a mission to help schools and educators develop some really amazing, awesome reading intervention programs for the sake of our students. So, today, what I want to talk to you about is how do we start? Where do we start? And really, there's a couple of beginning principles that we have to agree to. And we also have to ask ourselves the question, are you starting with an intervention that you've already got established, or are you starting from the very beginning? So I'm going to kind of handle this one as if you are a brand new site that is beginning a reading intervention for the first time. You're just kind of toying with the idea. You've probably had teachers that are delivering some differentiation, small group instruction in their classrooms, but you know that you probably need to take it to a greater scale. And so that's kind of the place that I'm starting from at this point. So let's first of all get real. Now, I know that we are all loving, caring, educators that want our students to become these amazing readers, that they will open a book and just dive into it for entertainment. They'll put their devices down and they'll want to read Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings as their entertainment. Now, that's where our heart is. That, of course, is what we hope that these kids will find at the end. But there really is a harsh reality to this. And that is that while we want them to be better readers for this whole lifestyle shift, our districts and our site administrators want and quite honestly need to see this improvement transfer into standardized test score. It's the reality of the profession this day and age. As much as we may dislike it, it is the reality. So what we have to do with that first is realize that I think some of our placements in instruction has been misplaced. So schools would see lower standardized test scores and they would think, okay, we need more test prep. We need to drill the standards. We're going to do more with the standards and more with the standards. And that may be true for some kids, but here is one basic principle that we all have to agree on if we're going to make some serious improvements. And that is, are you ready? Lean in. This is important. I know I'm going to surprise you here, but if kids can't read well, they're not going to test well. I don't care how many standards you teach them, how wonderful of a teacher you are teaching standards until you're blue in the face. If they can't read the words in the test, they won't test well. And so we have to find a bridge somewhere here. And that's really what we're looking at with this particular model. So, of course, standards are important. Grade level classroom teachers have to teach grade level standards, whether their students are reading a year or 2 years, 3 years below grade level. That is their job. Now, our job as interventionists is different. Our job is not necessarily to teach the standards. Our job is to teach the skills necessary for that student to access the grade level standards. And that's where we become a team. We are the bridge to the standards. Intervention should in no way be a place where standards are taught and drilled and test prep. That's not what we're doing here. That is really going to kind of defeat our purpose. So we have to remember what our role is. So where do we start? Well, we have to first of all know if our site has a problem. And what we want to do is look at the data. You want to gather as much data as you can, all of your state standardized tests, the SBAC or CASP. You want to look at your English learner data, your LPAC. You want to look at how many SSTs are you having with your students at your site? How many special ed referrals and assessment plans are you dealing with every year? Because if we can really tighten up and improve our reading intervention, we hope to prevent that leap into special ed. That's one of the big, secrets to all of this. That's really what we're after. So gather your data, talk to your teachers. What do your teachers think that their students are struggling with the most? What is it that they feel equipped to handle in class? Because I can tell you from, a former classroom teacher, they don't have time to cover all of the standards and everything that they are asked to do and to go back and fill all of those gaps. So intervention has a very important role in the school-wide system that is still there to get kids to that end goal of doing well on that standardized test. That's what our districts are after. That's what our state reports. It's the reality of the job. Like it or lump it, it is what it is. So there's a couple other things. As you're gathering your data, you may find that we're great. We don't need any intervention. I find it difficult to believe that there would be many of you out there with that, but it's possible. There's another thing, though, that you might find. You might find through your data collection process that you have more students needing intervention than you have capacity for. And this is really an indicator that perhaps your efforts and your budget needs to go first to improving Tier 1 core instruction. We all know that first instruction is best. And so if you find that you've got more than half of your students really qualifying for intervention, you might have other situations, high poverty area, different types of things that provide challenges for your school, but you also need to look at how you can do some school-wide initiatives perhaps to help your teachers so that they can better teach the core instruction first. I know that some of the research says that if 80% of our school population is really on target, then our school-wide system is healthy. That would leave about 20%, 25%, let's say, that could potentially benefit from intervention. And with that, you've got the top maybe 5% or less that would need special ed assistance. And so, but if we've got more than that, yeah, look at your Tier 1 instruction. And it's not that you have to do one or the other, that you have to have, you either put all of your eggs in intervention or you put all of your eggs in Tier 1. It's really not like that. You can do both, but you have to get a clear vision there. You can't intervene your way out of that Tier 1 problem. And so that's real important to remember. So after you have gathered all of this data, you need to kind of start thinking about, okay, how are we going to attack this? What are our needs? If your school is using a universal screener, that is the best, and we're going to get more into that real specifically in further or future videos. But just want to give us a starting point. What does the data say? We need to be data driven. Now, we as educators, we've got a lot of experience. Our gut tells us a ton, but we need to look at the data. We need concrete numbers that we can identify, we can track. Part of it is for accountability, but part of it is really so that we don't miss kids that might be in need of intervention. Sometimes we've got those wonderfully well-behaved, attentive students. They have their beautiful little eyes on you all the time, and you think that they're your best students, and then you start really digging deep into the data, and you realize, you know what? That sweet child has a deficit there, and we don't want to miss that kid. So that's really why the data is really important. It's not to be harsh or anything. Our gut is still important, but we need to validate all of that with numbers. So that is our first starting point. Now, I hope you will continue with me because we're going to keep going through this kind of in a systematic way. Where do we start? What's our next step? And I'd love it if you were so inclined to like this video. And if you want to continue on this journey with me and find out what I'm cooking up next, then subscribe so you don't miss anything. Please share the video with any of your colleagues or friends that you think may benefit from hearing some of this conversation. And I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.